I delivered pizzas to an address I'd never heard of before. I almost didn't escape alive. Story by Reddit user Bijel Goodwin Noy. Part 4. Great, I muttered, dropping it on top of the pizza boxes and starting the car. No GPS to help either. This is what you get for driving a Saab 900. From the late 80s, you should have taken Rita's suggestion and bought a Tom or something. I let out another sigh. No point in crying over spilled milk now. As I flicked on the headlights and wipers, the warmth from the heater beginning to blast into my face, saw Tony locking the back door. He gave me a curt nod before running to his truck. The bitterness reared its ugly head again as I watched him drive away, knowing he was heading home to his own soft, warm bed, but I shook my head to cast it away, releasing the parking brake and shifting into first gear. The car rolled forward, and I cast a last look at the darkened shape of the pizza joint, flanked on either side by a video rental store and shops, which had boarded up years ago. It and the laundromat are the only things keeping this strip mall from going the way of the dodo, I said to myself. Turning left, I headed down the main drag, the last of the dark buildings sliding past as I headed out of town. Wanting to break the silence filling the car, I fumbled with my iPod, which was connected to a cassette adapter in the car's stereo. A moment later, the opening notes of the Bateses, The Lips of Jane Mansfield, spilled from the speakers, tapping my fingers on the steering wheel to the beat. I glanced at the directions again. They said to take a couple of turns once I'd left town, and after making sure I had enough gas to make it there and back, I began what I hoped would be a relatively short journey. But whether it was due to my bad mood or the crappy weather, it seemed like an eternity. I kept glancing around as I made turn after turn, seeing only farmland and forests. As the minutes ticked by, my irritation grew, especially as a new thought entered my mind. I really hoped to God that some dumbass teenagers didn't decide to prank the place by ordering pizzas out into the middle of fucking nowhere. It wouldn't be the first time. Due to the lack of things to do, it had become a pastime of theirs. More than once I'd found myself at an empty house with an order in my hands, even though he'd been the one to fall for it. Tony had always directed his anger at me for it, occasionally even docking my pay for something that was out of my control.
Like the story? Like, comment and share it for the next part.